Welcome to today's episode of the Virtual Road Trip. Today I'm pretending to drive up to Portland, Maine, which is my second Portland but opposite coast video. So I'm really excited to do part 2 of Portland, separate Portland. Up to Portland, Maine to visit Steve and Johanna Corman of Vena's Fizz House, which is a cocktail bar in Portland, Maine. That started off with an all non-alcoholic menu and has since added alcohol and full strength cocktails to their menu, but creates cocktails and mocktails equally, with an extensive menu and extensive retail shop as well, with so many varieties of bitters and in-house made products, bitters, syrups, and cocktail kits, and just so much to offer. I'm so excited to be speaking with you today and one day to visit your shop. Thank you for joining me today, Johanna and Steve.
Yay.
Thank you for having us. Yeah.
Go ahead,
Just
Joe.
remember, Portland, Maine is the original Portland.
Yes.
We may be small, but we're mighty.
Yes. I don't know. Why don't we get started? You can tell me about yourselves and how Vena's got started.
Cool.
Go ahead, Steve.
Okay, so I moved to Maine in 1992 to start my teaching career.
So we're going way back.
But
It's
after 19 years of teaching, I got a pink slip. 52 teachers lost their jobs and well fell asleep in 2013, April. Johanna, on the 5th day of the pink slip, has this crazy idea to open a non-alcoholic bar in the Old Port, which is the tourist trap in Portland, Maine. And at that time, I was using Google and Bing, and there were no non-alcoholic anything in 2013. So she sold me on the idea of a bar without any alcohol, with the idea that we're going to have a shop that sells all the ingredients for the cocktail industry, mixology. We're going to use those ingredients in a non-alcoholic setting with seltzer as the base, but using rosemary, thyme, basil, all the herbs and spices in. Now Johanna's going to take it over. Go ahead, Joe.
I wish I could say where the idea came from, but I think it was just I've always loved ingredients. I love fresh, natural ingredients. I love seltzer. I was a big seltzer drinker, and I kind of just thought of it as an alternative to a coffee shop, or that's just what I thought. Steve and I had never made drinks before. We didn't come from the industry. We didn't know anything. It was just kind of the Old Port is an incredible place for restaurants and bars. And I just knew that the only way we would ever have a chance of surviving, was to come up with kind of a unique niche idea. Anyway, long story short, we opened with 10 drinks on the menu that we just kind of came up with ourselves. And we just kept going from there. I always say, desperation is a big motivating factor, And when Steve lost his job, we had to keep our house, and we had kids in high school. And so we worked really hard, but I just always loved the old ingredients. I love bitters and tonics and things like that. And I thought, why is there never any good non-alcoholic drink? I just didn't get it. So we just decided to come up with it. And that's what we did. Learned a lot along the way. But one kind of interesting thing we learned was, because we didn't come from the industry, the bar industry, we had no idea how it worked behind a bar. So I feel like we kind of came up with our own methods and ingredients, and but it worked for us.
Yeah, we based everything on flavors. So Johanna I didn't buy anything at the beginning because I was finishing up my educational career. And she bought 75 different bitters. And she told me on the 12th day of the pink slip, I found something that's going to make us unique around the world. I said, what, being a non-alcoholic bar is not unique enough? She said, no, it's the bitters. We're going to be known for bitters. I said, cool, what's the bitter? She said, it's the seasoning. You're going to learn everything about bitters and you're going to be the bitter king in America. So they're basically their flavorants with bittering roots and barks. And yeah, that's how we started. I asked her, what do you want me to start? How to create? She said, get bitters in all of our 10 non-alcoholic drinks and start figuring out how to use shrubs, a vinegar-based fruit simple syrup, into our mocktails and our fizzes. And that's what I worked on. And within 2 weeks, I was hooked on bitters. Absolutely. I need bitters in everything I eat. Basically, everything I drink. I'm drinking water with my aromatic bitters. So I get a heavy dose of sassafras sarsaparilla, along with orange, allspice, clove, cinnamon, fennel, anise, cardamom, other ingredients, botanicals. But
yeah, I saw you put it in. I was going to ask which bitters you went with.
It doesn't make your seltzer bitter. It flavors it. And you don't need an ounce to make it flavor. You just need, because my bitters are more concentrated, most everyone else's bitters. There's nothing unnatural here, including any type of sugar ingredient. A lot of bitters have honey or sugar, and it's because of people are afraid if they put it into water or seltzer, it'll be bitter and it will like ease up on the bitterness. But for me, no. Johanna puts enough bitters in water now in seltzer. It doesn't make it bitter, does it? Okay. Yeah.
It makes it bitter.
Yeah.
But I think Steve has lost. He has always liked things. His coffee is the most dark, bitter coffee you could ever drink. So his bitter palate might be a little off.
Yeah,
a little skewed.
Yeah, a little skewed.
Yeah, I'm also drinking a bitters and soda. I saw that you carry bitters from the Bitter Housewife in Portland, Oregon.
Right.
I love them. I've had them on here, and I carry both of their bitters and soda, and so
good.
going with the
That's so
orange
great.
today.
Yay.
So cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Their aromatic is one of my favorite products that I carry. And I never go for the orange, so I was like, let me try the orange again.
Yeah.
Switch it up.
Right.
Good. Yay.
Yeah. I've been following you and your Vena's Fizz House for a long time. Probably shortly after you opened, definitely before you had alcohol on the menu. So this is really exciting for me. I've never been there in person. Definitely plan to one day in the future. Actually, last year, before everything shut down, I had a friend who lives in Boston now and was in Portland visiting. And they were like, I'm at this bar that I think you'd really like.
Oh, funny.
And they sent me a picture and I was like, are you at Vena's Fizz? It's like, yes.
Very cool.
And I had him send me your whole menu book.
Oh, that's so great.
And that was the last menu that we've ever had that was in a book form. Yeah, pandemic happened and yeah.
Yeah, and then I was digging around on your website today and I saw that you have basically your whole menu is up on the website. It's amazing for so much inspiration for if people want to make the drinks at home. You have recipes on there. You can make the drinks at home and then you can buy all of the parts from your retail shop. Yeah. So it's fantastic. You really have the whole package together. Did you do any of that pre-pandemic? I know you had the physical store.
Yeah. Well, we always just had the always thought we were going to always share all our recipes. There's never any talk that we were going to not give out our recipes, and because we want everybody to be able to make drinks at home and to take the intimidation out of it, to feel like they can do it. So it always worked in the physical shop, meaning that, somebody might come in just for a drink and then they'd say, oh, what, oh my God, what's in that? And then we could say, go right down in the bar and we give them the list of what it was.
Yeah.
And show them the recipe and how to make it, or vice versa. They'd come into the shop and say, what do I do with this? And we'd say, well, go up to the bar and try this and we'll give you some ideas. Anyway, it just always worked very, very
I love
well.
that.
There's
Yeah.
a liquid conduit that
Yeah.
I've always said without having an answer. Does the retail feed the bar or does the bar feed retail? And it's a liquid. There is no answer to that.
It's a very great model. And I always say, I'm kind of surprised nobody else is doing this, because it's just perfect, because everybody wants to be able to make cocktails or mocktails at home now. And when you can go up and have the drink and then have all the ingredients to buy it right there, it's a very win-win situation. And kind of a funny little story, when we were strictly non-alcohol, it was never, that we had anything against alcohol. We just didn't know much about making drinks. And so we wanted to learn and about flavors. And anyway, long story short, when we finally decided, so many people were asking us for cocktails, and then we decided to just make it half mocktails, half cocktails, the menu just offered both. We started finding when we were non-alcohol, the little nip bottles in our trash. So we realized that people were bringing it in anyway and adding it to the mocktails. So that's when we kind of decided, well, maybe it's a good time to add it, but just emphasize that we're not getting rid of mocktails. Mocktails are as important, and that's just always been our mission mantra, and it's always worked very, very well for us.
Yeah.
I love that. I've always loved that about what you're doing.
Yeah. No, my favorite customers are when, you get like a foursome comes in and they'll all say, we came here because, one in our party doesn't drink, and they want to have as much fun and have the bar experience and the music and and they can come here and nobody knows whether they're drinking alcohol or not.
And the thing is, the glassware is the same.
Everything's the same.
The bitters that we're using is the same, and they're getting the same depth, complexity, and flavor as all of our drinks that are cocktails. That's right. And from our menu that, someone, your friend, did photograph every page. Most of the drinks are created by us.
Yep.
That's it in a nutshell. Everything. Except even the standards I've tweaked, yeah.
Right. And you do this whole incredible, unique cocktail and mocktail menu, and you also do like old fashioned sodas, which was more of where it started, right?
Right. The first concept was we called it was a modern version of an old fashioned soda fountain. And that's kind of how we pictured it. It wasn't going to be so much like ice cream sodas and things like that it would be healthy, with herbs and spices and bitters, using old-fashioned ingredients, but kind of in a more modern way. And that's pretty much what we've stuck to all along, yeah. So like I said, we get, what I love too is we get every demographic, everything in there. You might get a grandmother coming in with their 3 grandkids sitting next to somebody from New York City that's an ultra, cocktail aficionado. And I think everybody feels very, very comfortable, and, they'll get talking, and that's just great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. No, we have a place where everyone and anyone can come in and feel comfortable, especially those that don't drink cocktails. Especially because they can, having little kids come to the bar with their parents or grandparents, they're sitting at a beautiful top bar, and it's like, and I asked them, oh, how many bars have you been to like that? And they said, no, this is my first. They said, cool, high five. Yeah, enjoy. And I have their adults taste their mocktails or fizzes, and they just look at us and say, this is incredible. But I asked in the early days, pediatricians and OBGYNs, are bitters okay to give to kids or pregnant women? And when you're dealing with drops, you know, the alcohol are vehicles to carry the nutrients and the bitter. That's all it is. And you talk about drops, and in a 16-ounce mason jar, those 3 to 5 drops or dashes are almost nothing, and that the flavorants and the bitterness are really good for you. They're healthy for you. They're America's medicines, and there we go.
Well, I always just say to people too, because you know, if they do get up, they're worried about the alcohol in a bitter. I just always say, well, you know, it's no different than like a vanilla extract. You know, you do vanilla extract without even thinking about it.
Yep.
It's the exact same thing. It just has different herbs and roots in it, and that usually people get that. They just need to associate it with something, and then they get it, and they're fine about it. But I was just thinking as we were talking how, yeah, I mean, talking about mocktails and non-alcohol drinks, how the trend has gone crazy since we started. You know, it's been a really interesting sort of journey to see it evolve. You know, we felt like we were like out on this desert where nobody
You were
doing or got it. And yeah, you know, and people always were telling us we were crazy. And now it's like, wow, it is just, it's amazing. It's amazing to see how it's taken off, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, I've been following you for years, and it was you, it was, you know, a bunch of stuff happening in the UK, but nothing here.
Right.
And eventually when Sober Curious came out, and then there was blah, 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 but that was years after you had opened.
Right.
There was one dry bar in Michigan sometimes that closed, and then there was Sands Bar, but that was still so much later.
Right.
So
yeah, we'd hear about little pop-up bars. Sometimes people would say they'd been to a pop-up dry bar and things like that, but I don't think there was any strictly straight.
It wasn't.
Yeah, it's been, like you said, I love that it's like there's choices now. It's like somehow it's finally acceptable to have a choice, you know, that it's okay. And even the low alcohol drinks now too. I just think it's great to offer all these different options for people.
Yeah,
you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So how has that changed for you, and in the conversations that you have with your customers or with other people? You know, since so many more products have come out. I saw that you use Ritual zero proof products. I carry them too. Do you use any other alcohol alternative spirit? Oh, I saw you use Seedlip also.
Seedlip was our first, because there was nothing on the market in America. So we went to England, found a place in Miami that I could wholesale it. So that was the first. And what was cool about Seedlip, they come in 2 different sizes. That's a positive. We've gone to, you know, cocktail shows in Brooklyn, Bar Convent, and we're meeting people over in Europe that are having, oh my God, fantastic, but they can't find places in America just to wholesale, you know, to do that for them. So I saw Marco Salazar a couple weeks ago. Oh my God, I just started following him on Instagram. And I'm looking at Instagram, and it's like, oh my God, here we go. I told Johanna about it, that I just, you know, we're going to start researching in America when we open up a new bar in Portland.
The new bar, are you moving?
Yeah, we actually closed, last January, we closed the venue. Not, I mean, yes, it was COVID related, mostly because we were very tiny. And, you know, once we did outside seating, but once it's cold in Maine, you know, there's no more outside seating. So we kind of took that up, tried to look at it as an opportunity. We've been thinking about getting a bigger space. So we just put all our focus over into our, like where I am in our, you know, where we make our products line. And we've been building up, we've been able to keep employees on and build up our online presence and get that wholesale. Now we wholesale them all over the country. But in the meantime, looking for a little bit bigger venue, and we actually just found it. You know, we probably won't get open, you know, won't be able to open till, you know, October, November. It needs to be renovated and stuff like that. But we finally just found our new space. So we're very, very excited.
Oh, congratulations.
Yay. Wow.
Yeah, it's exciting.
It is.
Yeah. It's going to be a very unique, as unique as Vena's was. Wait, this is going to be over the top. It's going to be fun.
And we're doing Miracle. If you've ever heard of Miracle, Cocktail Kingdom in New York owns it. From Thanksgiving through Christmas, we Christmas-size the venue and the mocktails. Well, we have our own mocktails, but they have a cocktail menu that we Christmas-size it. Yeah.
I didn't know that was a chain thing. I mean, there's one here. I just thought it was just independent.
No. It's all over.
It's like a franchise. Like they only let one place do it per city kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. I mean, we like it because you can decorate however you want Christmas. And so it's just, for us, we do over the top kitschy retro kitchen, you know, Christmas, and all our decorations came from, you know, church fairs.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, there's just so many things that I want to ask you about. But it's, so you in-house, you make so many products that now you're able to really focus on the online store for this past year, and you do syrups and bitters and sugar cubes and jars of like cocktail kit jars, sippers, right?
Yeah, sippers, where you just add the alcohol, you know, and we've been doing those for about 5 years. Same with that. Now we've kind of seen more of those spring up a little bit, but we have about 15 different flavors of those, and we make the bitters infused sugar cubes.
Yeah.
Steve makes the main pine syrup, you know. We're coming out with, we call them, they're itty bitters. They're itty bitters, little tiny bitters. Yeah, and that keeps us, I mean, our wholesale has just grown and grown and grown, which is crazy. It's great. Yeah, it's literally
awesome.
kept us afloat.
Yeah.
Have you tried doing do you do a non-alcoholic version of the sippers, or does it really need the alcohol to
Well, I'm actually doing one right now. It'll be out probably within a month or so. I am finally getting my non-alcohol, which instead of adding alcohol, you add vinegar. I'm calling them my vitality vinegars. And but you do it the exact same way. You add it, and you know, it makes basically a homemade shrub.
Yeah.
You know, a DIY shrub.
Awesome.
So I'm excited about those because people have always asked me for a non-alcoholic version of that.
Yeah.
Of the sippers. So finally we're going to have it, and yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yep. Within the next month, I think.
Yay.
So the language that we all use about non-alcoholic drinks has been changing so much, you know, in the last few years, with it all just gaining so much popularity, which is awesome. How has that changed for you? Did you always use mocktails as your word?
We did, but just because back then that was the word, there wasn't any other word. And we know that it's changed a lot, and I think mocktail gets misaligned sometimes, but it was just how we always used it. And I actually kind of always liked that word, because to me it was actually it was a vintage word for me. Mock, the word mock, I always think of back when I was growing up, they would make something called mock apple pie, and there were all these funny 1950s, 60s mock things. And so to me, mocktail was kind of the perfect name because we love vintage and all that stuff. So we've just always kept it mocktail, but very aware that there's many different, you know, words for it now. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the word mocktail, and I'm trying to come to terms with it because it just is the one that is sticking.
Yeah.
Be that what it is.
Yeah, I know. And I'm kind of I kind of had the feeling mocktail was going to stick. It was the first one, and that's kind of the one that sticks. And
Yeah. What was a mock apple pie?
believe it or not, it had no apples in it. That's why the whole thing was so crazy. I loved it. It was made with Ritz crackers. And it was kind of soaked almost Ritz. You put your Ritz crackers and you sort of soaked it in I think it was a sort of an egg custardy type thing with apple pie spice in it. And when you cooked it, and if you didn't know, it was crazy. It really tasted like apple pie. What I loved about it, it's what they did when they had to be very, very frugal, and back in the Depression era, really, when they couldn't have apples, they didn't have apples or fresh, they were just so inventive with what they came up with. So I just love that idea of it. So mocktail to me fit right into that frugality and using what you have and creating. Yeah.
I like that frame of it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So on the theme of this being a virtual road trip, what are some places around Portland other than Vena's Fizz House when it reopens that I should check out while I'm pretending to be there?
Are you talking for food or drink or both?
Any of the above or other.
Oh gosh. Well, we always say, if you want the local flavor, not the touristy place, but local flavor, go down to Jay's Oyster Bar. Okay. The type that, like the waitresses have been there for 30 years. You're going to get a seafood casserole,
Or oysters, and you don't get to choose what kind of oyster.
Right,
and they're really good still.
Right.
But you can go to places in Portland and get choices of 10 different types of oyster. This is
it's like your local yokel hangout, but you don't know. You might be sitting next to a lobsterman or a Wall Street broker. You don't know. That's they haven't changed the inside for 30 years. It's just great. But oh my gosh, if you're a foodie and a cocktail person, there are so many amazing places that probably the one that most people know about and try to go to. It's called Eventide.
Okay.
Because if you like seafood, of course, it's Portland, so seafood is king and it's fresh right off the boats. But Eventide is amazing oysters, amazing cocktails. 4th Street, there's so many of them. There's so many. Like Portland, Maine is next only to San Francisco for the number of restaurants per capita.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
It's such a foodie town. You can't go wrong. I mean, there's a restaurant every other it's saturated.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then if you drink beer, we're really a beer town.
It's actually a beer town. I think we're like number 2 for beer now. It's crazy.
Oh wow.
And Portland only has 65,000 people, but we like to eat and drink up here.
Yeah. And we're beer drinkers. We own a cocktail bar, but we really love our beer.
Yeah.
It's hard to eat or drink bad in Portland, Maine.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's very hard. Very hard. And there's many amazing seafood places, many amazing, every other kind of food imaginable too. Yeah.
Seafood is one of the things that I miss most living in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
We're very landlocked.
Yes.
Yeah. It's very sad for seafood.
When you get to Portland, Maine, we will make sure you have the best seafood you'd ever have.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Anything else while I'm in Portland, or just eat and drink and then eat and drink some more?
Well, because Portland is right on the water, a lot of people, there's little islands all around. So there's this great little ferry system that you can hop on these ferries, and it's very doable. It's only like from an hour to 2 hours, but that's something I always tell people to do. It's like jump on the ferry and you feel like you've gone back in time. Some of these islands, you know, that you go out to, that have little communities. And it's absolutely spectacularly beautiful, breathtaking.
And if you only have like an afternoon, you walk along the Eastern Promenade, which follows the small gauge train tracks, and you'll hit at least one, if not two, food trucks. Food trucks are all over Portland. So if you don't want to go to a restaurant, you can go to a truck that's an oh my God, because a lot of these trucks after a couple of years find a brick and mortar, and then they're busy in two different venues. You know, it's crazy.
The one time I was up in Maine, I was there for a friend's wedding on Islesboro, where her family is. And yeah, I was there. We took the ferry. We camped for the wedding.
But
spent a day in Portland and a day in Boston on the way back. And
nice.
Yeah.
Maine during the pandemic was found by a lot of people from away during the beginning of the pandemic. And then a lot of people bought property and bought houses, condos, and because they saw how we live. If it's sunny outside in February and it can be 10 or 20 degrees, people are outside because it's sunny and you can get some vitamin D in you, and just, it's beautiful. Yeah, we can smell the sea from in the air in certain places in Portland. It's cool. And we eat fresh everything.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And I'm jealous.
Yeah.
It's a good place. We like it.
Yeah. It really is beautiful up there. And I can't wait. One day I'll be there again.
You will. And you have our email. You're following us, so you'll know where we're going to be. And you can email us at any time for anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Recipes, anything.
Yeah. Good. Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me today. This was such a pleasure getting to meet with you and talk with you about all the awesome stuff you're doing with Vena's. Yeah, this was Johanna and Steve Corman of Vena's Fizz House.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye.